Okay, imagine this. A healing practice, often seen as just gentle hands-on work, but some say its roots might stretch back like thousands of years to Tibetan monasteries. Kind of surprising, right?
It really is.
Welcome to the deep dive. We take fascinating topics and really try to boil them down. Today, we're diving into Reiki using this pretty detailed manual you shared as our guide.
Right.
Our mission, basically, is to pull out the key stuff, what Reiki is, its history, the main ideas, and make it super clear and hopefully interesting.
Exactly. And this manual, it's quite thorough. It covers everything from the definition right up to, specific techniques, symbols, the whole lot. We're aiming to pull out the really important nuggets for you.
Perfect. So let's start right at the beginning. What is Reiki, fundamentally? The manual calls it universal life force energy.
Mm-hmm.
It even breaks down the Japanese words, rei for universal or maybe spiritual consciousness, and ki, which is that life force energy.
Yeah, that vital spark.
It makes you think, doesn't it, about chi in Chinese thought or prana in Sanskrit. It seems like many cultures have this idea of a basic life energy.
Absolutely. And what's interesting is how the manual describes this key specifically within Reiki. It stresses that it's a natural healing energy, but it also says that it has its own, intelligence.
Intelligence, how so?
Well, the idea is that the energy kind of knows where to go, where it's needed most in the person, and how to work for their highest good. Importantly, it's always seen as positive.
Okay.
And it treats the whole person, mind, body, spirit, not just chasing symptoms. That holistic view is really central.
And seems incredibly versatile, too. The manual says you can use Reiki on people, obviously, but also animals, plants, even objects or situations.
Yeah, that's a big claim, isn't it?
It sounds huge. Why would it work on, say, a plant or a situation?
If you go back to that core idea of ki being universal life force, the manual suggests Reiki is just a way of directing or enhancing that energy. So theoretically, it can interact with the energy systems of, well, almost anything to restore balance or promote well-being.
Huh. Okay, let's shift gears a bit to history. The manual really focuses on Mikao Usui in Japan, late 19th century, as the key figure who rediscovered Reiki.
The founder of the modern system.
But it also mentions there isn't just one single story about how he found it. What are the different versions?
Right, this is interesting. One account links Usui to studying ancient Sanskrit texts, portraying him as a Buddhist monk digging into old wisdom.
Okay.
Then there's the more famous story, perhaps, about his 21-day retreat fasting and meditating on Mount Kori-uma. That's supposedly where he had this profound experience and received the Reiki ability.
And the manual mentions him immediately using it, like healing his own foot injury.
Yeah, and a girl with a swollen face right after coming down the mountain. Those are often cited as his first conscious uses of the energy after his experience.
Now, this next part really grabbed me. He sets up a clinic, but it's in the beggar district of Tokyo. And the manual says he learned something crucial there.
Yes, this seems to have been a really pivotal moment.
It wasn't just about physical healing succeeding.
Exactly. He noticed some people would get better physically, but then they'd kind of slide back into their old lives, and sometimes the illnesses came back too.
So what was the big realization?
It seems he concluded that for healing to really stick, the person needed to take some personal responsibility and also cultivate gratitude for the healing they received.
So it wasn't just passive receiving.
Apparently not. The manual suggests some found it easier to just, stay in the victim role rather than actively participating in their own well-being shift. And this realization directly led him to create the Reiki principles.
The principles, okay, we'll get to those.
Right.
But following Usui, the lineage goes through Dr. Hayashi and then Hawayo Takata.
Yeah.
She's the one who brought Reiki to the West, right?
That's the common understanding, yes. She was hugely influential in spreading Reiki outside Japan.
But the manual also points out, and I thought this was important, that there are other Japanese Reiki lines that aren't connected to Takata.
It's not just one single thread. There were parallel developments, lineages that stayed within Japan and evolved differently. The history is a bit more complex, maybe richer than sometimes presented.
And it even hints at, much older origins, something about ancient Tibet.
It does mention that possibility, yeah, suggesting that similar energy healing practices might have been known by Tibetan monks and lamas way back. Kind of opens up the perspective beyond just Usui's rediscovery.
Okay, so back to those Reiki principles that came out of Usui's experiences. The manual lists them, and yeah, the wording varies a little sometimes, but what's the core message?
The essence, really, across the variations is about focusing on the present.
Hmm.
Just for today, they often start. Don't get angry, don't worry, be grateful, do your work honestly, and be kind to everyone, to all living
They
things.
sound like, well, like good advice for anyone, really.
They absolutely are. They're guides for living in a way that fosters inner peace and balance, which naturally supports healing. Think of them as mental and emotional anchors.
And the manual mentions a specific practice. Hands in prayer position, meditating on them, saying them morning and evening.
Yes, it suggests Usui intended them to be an active practice, not just nice ideas. Something to consciously integrate to align yourself with that positive energy flow.
Right. Okay, so how does someone actually get Reiki? The manual talks about attunements or initiations. What's that about?
The attunement is the traditional method for passing Reiki from a teacher to a student. The manual describes it as a specific ritual or process that basically tunes the student's energy system.
Tunes them.
Yeah, like opening and refining their energy channels so they can connect more clearly and strongly to that universal Reiki source.
Mm,
The idea isn't that you couldn't channel any energy before, but the attunement makes the Reiki connection potent and sort of instantaneous.
makes sense. And the manual outlines different levels, usually 3, maybe 4. First degree, second degree, then third or master level.
That's the common structure in Usui Reiki, yes. Sometimes that third level is split into master practitioner and master teacher, but essentially it's a progression.
And each level involves another attunement.
Typically, yes.
Yes.
Each attunement is said to open you up to handle and channel a higher frequency or volume of Reiki energy. It's a gradual process. First degree is usually about self-healing and hands-on healing for others nearby.
And second degree is where the symbols come in. The manual mentions a power symbol, one for
Yeah.
emotional mental stuff and one for distance healing.
Exactly. Second degree is often seen as a big jump because you learn these symbols. They're like keys that unlock different ways of using Reiki.
How do they unlock things? What do the symbols do?
Well, the power symbol, Joku-rei, we'll talk more about that one. It's like an amplifier. The other two, given in second degree, the manual explains, allow you to focus Reiki on mental and emotional patterns, more specifically, and crucially, to send Reiki across space and even time.
Distance healing. So you don't need to be physically present.
That's the principle, yes. The symbols are tools to direct the energy intentionally, regardless of physical distance. It really expands the possibilities.
Okay, and then the third degree, or master level. The manual mentions Anu Sui master symbol, plus maybe some Tibetan ones, and says it can open you to your true Buddha nature. That sounds pretty profound.
It does sound profound, but the manual clarifies that becoming a Reiki master in this context primarily means you've received these advanced symbols and the attunements for them, and usually the ability to teach and attune others.
So it's not necessarily about being like fully enlightened.
Not in the way we might usually think of a spiritual master. It's more about having mastery over these specific Reiki tools and energies within the Usui system. Of course, the journey can be deeply spiritual for many.
The manual also gives some practical advice, like trusting your gut when choosing a teacher,
Very important, yes. Finding someone you resonate with.
and that regular practice strengthens your Reiki channel, like exercising a muscle.
Absolutely. Consistency matters. And another good point the manual makes is about the attunement experience itself.
Oh, what about it?
It says experiences vary wildly. Some people feel lots of energy, see colors, have visions. Others feel very little immediately.
And that doesn't mean it didn't work.
Exactly. The manual stresses that the subjective experience isn't a measure of the attunement's effectiveness. What matters is your intention to receive and your openness. The energy integrates regardless.
Okay, that's reassuring. So after you get attuned, the manual talks about this 21-day cleansing and healing response. Sounds potentially intense.
It can be, yeah. It's described as a period where your system adjusts to the new energy flow. Think of it like stirring up sediment at the bottom of a pond.
So stuff comes to the surface.
Potentially, yes.
Yeah.
The manual suggests you might experience physical detoxification, maybe flu-like symptoms, fatigue, headaches, things like that, or emotional releases, old patterns or feelings coming up.
Yikes. So you might feel worse before you feel better.
That's often how it's framed, yes. It's seen as your body and energy field releasing toxins, physical, emotional, mental baggage, basically stuff that's no longer serving your highest good. The manual really emphasizes drinking extra water during this time to help flush things out.
So it's like an energetic detox. The
Mhm.
manual calls each attunement a potential quantum leap forward in healing.
It's a strong phrase, isn't it? It suggests a significant shift. And yeah, unresolved issues might surface specifically because it's time for them to be healed and released. This is where grounding becomes really helpful.
Ah, grounding. Let's talk about that. The manual defines it as connecting with the Earth's energy. Why is that so important?
Grounding is fundamental for pretty much any energy work, according to the manual. It keeps you stable, centered, prevents you from feeling spaced out or drained.
Does Reiki itself ground you?
The manual says it has an inherently grounding effect, yes, but learning specific grounding techniques is still highly recommended. Think of it like an electrical circuit needing a ground wire. Being well grounded allows you to channel more energy safely and effectively.
And it gives practical techniques, like standing a certain way.
Yeah, feet apart, knees slightly bent, spine aligned, focusing on the perineum area using breath work, visualizing roots going down into the earth, drawing energy up. Standard grounding stuff, really useful.
And you should do this before and after treatments.
Yes, and before meditating, the manual even suggests grounding the treatment space itself and the person you're treating, even pets or plants. It's about creating that stable, energetic foundation.
Okay. Now, how do you actually start the Reiki flow? The manual mentions just placing your hands with intention or saying Reiki flow.
Intention seems to be the main key, according to the manual. Just deciding you want the Reiki to flow is often enough to activate it, especially after attunement.
Are there other ways?
Some people like to bring their palms together first, in a prayer position, gasho, or wait until they feel a warmth or tingling between their hands. The manual suggests treating it with a sense of respect, maybe like a small ritual, can strengthen the connection over time.
Interesting. The manual also brings up Reiki guides. It says you might receive guides after attunement.
Yes, this is a concept mentioned. These guides are described as non-physical helpers who assist you on your healing path.
What are they according to the manual? Angels? Spirits?
The manual suggests they could be seen as higher aspects of your own self, connected to Source, or perhaps other benevolent spiritual beings. The main thing is acknowledging them, maybe thanking them for their assistance.
And how do you know they're there? How do they guide?
It's usually subtle. The manual talks about guidance coming through intuition, feelings, insights, images in your mind's eye, sudden thoughts, even physical sensations or urges to say or do something specific during a healing session.
So it's like teamwork. You, the energy, the guides.
Kind of, yeah. The manual presents healing as a collaborative effort involving you, the planet's energy, through grounding and the spiritual realms. It also mentions this idea of meeting the universe halfway. You have to participate consciously.
And it had that nuanced point about pain you can ask for relief, but sometimes pain might have a purpose.
Right, it reflects that idea of Reiki's intelligence. It's not just about masking symptoms, but working with the body's wisdom towards deeper resolution.
Okay, let's shift to intention. The manual really emphasizes how powerful our intentions are for ourselves and others.
Absolutely. It links positive intentions directly to attracting positive experiences, suggesting our thoughts and desires shape our energy field and thus our reality. This is a common theme in many mind-body practices.
And we can consciously program our energy field using affirmations.
That's the idea presented, yes. Using daily positive affirmations or intentions to counteract negative programming and align your energy with what you do want to experience. The manual reassures you that the ability to connect and communicate with the universe is innate. We just need to clear out the internal static.
So how does this apply during a Reiki treatment?
The manual stresses setting a clear intention before you start. Being mindful about the words you use, it suggests you can even use intention to help someone address feelings like powerlessness.
Yeah.
By directing the Reiki energy with a specific positive intention. The manual also suggests inviting in higher consciousness like higher selves, angels, guides, the divine, earth energy to support the healing.
And it mentions sending intentions mentally, like affirmations for the other person.
Yes, a technique where you formulate a positive affirmation in the present tense, like, you are filled with peace and vitality now, and mentally send it, enhanced by Reiki, to the recipient's mind, visualizing it being received.
Wow, okay, that's quite active.
It is. It underscores the practitioner's role in focusing the energy, always, of course, for the highest good. You end with gratitude and trust that the message is understood on some level.
All right, let's finally dig into that first symbol. Chokurei, the power symbol. What does it mean?
The manual gives a few interpretations for Chokurei. Things like drawing a curve or sword, suggesting focus or penetration. Also, place the power here, or even by the Emperor's decree, implying a command to the energy.
And visually, it's that spiral shape.
Yeah, usually drawn as a coil, maybe 2.5 turns, then a vertical line down through the center. The manual notes it often has 7 points of intersection, potentially symbolizing the 7 chakras.
And it's considered the most powerful symbol, the amplifier.
That's what the manual states, yes.
Hmm.
It boosts the power of Reiki generally and can amplify the effects of other symbols when used together, but it's powerful on its own too. It's linked to connecting with source energy and awakening your true potential.
The manual called it the light switch. I like that.
It's very evocative, isn't it? Like flipping a switch to turn up the energy instantly, bringing light and power to a situation or to your healing work, and the list of uses is just huge.
Seriously. Increasing power at the start of a session, sealing energy at the end, protection, balancing, empowering chakras.
Enhancing food, drinks, medicine, clearing crystals, clearing spaces.
Protecting yourself, blessing gifts, attracting abundance, cleansing objects, helping plants grow, even starting cars.
Huh. Yeah, the manual mentions helping with mechanical or electrical things. It really speaks to that idea of Reiki as fundamental energy that can interact with anything and breaking negative thought patterns too.
It's incredibly versatile. But again, intention is key when using it.
Always. The manual reminds you to focus your intention. Visualize the symbol, maybe in purple light or whatever color feels right. Draw it physically or mentally. And always add that caveat for the highest good.
Right, that ethical guideline. And it offered a tip if you don't feel the energy flow strongly.
Yeah, a little technique. Prayer position. Draw the symbols on your hands mentally. Raise your palms, call in Reiki, then draw Choku Rei again to really get things moving.
Okay, now the manual briefly touched on treatment basics. Didn't go into all the hand positions and the parts we saw, but mentioned practitioner comfort.
Yes, very practical point. Being comfortable yourself, adjusting table height, maybe using a stool, relaxing your body is important so the energy flows through you easily. You don't want to be tense or awkward.
Makes sense. And chair treatments are effective too.
Absolutely. The manual confirms you can do effective Reiki seated in a chair, which is great for accessibility. It acknowledges there's a whole system of hand positions for full treatments, likely covered elsewhere in the full manual.
And finally, clearing space with Reiki. Using Choku Rei again.
Exactly. Drawing the symbol in the corners, on walls, floor, ceiling of a room, with the intention to clear out any stagnant or negative energy. Visualizing light filling the space. It's like an energetic spring clean for your environment.
Creates a better atmosphere for healing or just living.
That's the idea, a more harmonious, clear space.
All right. Well, that was quite a journey through the manual. Let's try to sum up the big takeaways. We've seen Reiki as this gentle but potentially powerful energy healing system.
Rooted in this idea of universal life force with a fascinating layered history.
And guided by those core principles about staying present, letting go of anger and worry, being grateful, kind, working honestly.
We talked about the attunements as the way the ability is passed on, opening up your energy channels.
And that potential 21-day clearing period afterwards, which sounds like something to be aware of.
Definitely. Plus the importance of grounding yourself, connecting with the Earth's energy for stability.
And the power of intention, how central that is to directing Reiki.
And finally, we looked at the first symbol, Choku Rei, the power symbol, and just how versatile it's considered to be, amplifying, protecting, clearing.
For me, a couple of aha moments were really grasping that interconnectedness idea, everything being energy, and how Reiki seems to work with the body's own healing intelligence.
And also how active a role you play through your intention and awareness. It's not entirely passive.
Absolutely. So for you listening, maybe think about how those Reiki principles, just for today, don't worry, don't be angry, be grateful, be kind. How might they apply in your own life, even outside of Reiki?
Yeah, or consider the power of your own intention. What happens if you consciously set positive intentions for your day or for specific situations? It's something you can explore.
And that leads to our final thought to leave you with. If energy really is the foundation of everything, as Reiki and many other traditions suggest, what other possibilities might exist for us to understand and interact with our world, maybe in ways we haven't fully tapped into yet?
A big question to ponder.
Indeed. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive.